Shalom. It's following Yeshua. Welcome again to the Rock. It's another scenario video. First, if everything goes as planned, we will be having a live stream tonight at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. On this channel, we're going to be talking about family order. With the times that we are seeing right now, why family order is so important. It's always been important, but it's always amplified. And you'll know what kind of family order you have as these times continue to get worse. What happens to your family? Does it break apart or does it come together? And how many of you have people in your family right now that don't even believe what you believe? What I mean by that is they have this adamant, nothing's going to happen, everything's going to be fine attitude. We'll talk about that and how that could be very detrimental to what you're trying to do with what is coming. But this video, I did not want to do this video. I did not want to do this scenario. But I get a lot of information from people. I have a lot of people that have occupations in different various jobs and government jobs or city civil servant jobs. And this is something I wanted y'all to think about, especially for those of you that have not come out of her, especially for those of you that are in these major metropolitan areas, especially for those that know that if this thing continues to keep on, the system, you're going to be in trouble. This scenario is this. You are no longer able to pay your bills. Whatever it may be. You lost your job. Things just changed. And your lights, you're in a position where do you cut off your lights or buy food? So you buy food. Your lights get cut out. How many people today are relied upon government services? And this video is also specifically for those who have children. Because what happens when you get the knock on your door and whatever they call themselves today, they're there because you have children. And your children don't have food. How they know that? Because you are on food stamps. And as the system continues to fall apart, they're continuing to rein in spending. All these, government services that help pay your heating bill. Well, let's say you applied, there's a group or it's called HEAP, an organization where they help pay your bill if you get far behind. Well, let's say you applied for your electric bill to be paid, but they don't pay it. And now your electricity gets cut off, but they know your electricity got cut off. What if you're forced to move into a car? What if you're forced to do certain things and the system decides you don't have the means to take care of your children? You may have to go and move in your vehicle. And you live dead smack in the middle of one of these areas. You have to move in your vehicle. And you're trying to live, out of a parking lot or whatever it may be. And they see that this is what you got going on. And they feel that you are unable to take care of your children. What then? See, I don't want to talk about this scenario because it's hard. It's hard, especially for people, single parents. It's hard. But you have to understand that this is something that very easily could happen, because a lot of people imagine the world's going to fall apart and there's going to be no government. But we have to get to that point. So even if that was ever to happen, there's going to be no government. It's going to be Mad Max, whatever. You have to get to the point. You have to get to that point. And as you see, it's not this big immediate collapse. What's happening is it's slow. And what happens when things are slow like this, people suffer. So as inflation eats up your income, as you are unable to, let's say you're in your house this summer and you're unable to pay your electric bill and they cut off your electricity and they feel that you are not taking adequate care of your child because it's, 97 degrees outside. and you don't have an ability to keep cool. They feel there's no lights on in the house. They go and there's no food in their cabinets. And you ask, well, how will they know that? We'll talk about this a little bit in the live stream tonight. You ask, how will they know that? Well, when you're on food stamps, they know. When you're on cash aid, they know. Because if they stop giving it to you, they know. If they start cutting these services, they know. They know that you were one of theirs. And now you have no food. These are things that we got to think about. Because it's getting bad, and it's great to pontificate about when you're going to deploy your favorite firearm. But what just happens if you lose your job? What happens if the rents get too high and you can't afford to live there? Do you even have a place to go? Do you know somebody that will take you on their property? And do they have provisions set up for you there on that property? Because this is something that's very serious, because we love our children. And for some, I would say a large majority of people, they are trying to do what's best for their children. For me, it was come out of her. Follow what the Bible says. Come out of her, follow what the Bible said, and my children will have provision, the family will have provisions, we will never go without. I obeyed the Father, and he has been faithful, and he has kept his in the end of the bargain, because he always does. But when you're in a situation and you hear that knock on the door because you don't have your electricity on, because the apartment complex that you stay in or the electric company that you're with notified whoever they notified to let them know, hey, their power got cut off and it hasn't been on for a couple of weeks. It hasn't been on for 2 weeks. And they contact your apartment complex, and the apartment complex lets them know, yeah, people are still coming in and out of that apartment. And now look what position you're in. How about food? You see, to continue to sit back and say, well, the system's going to take care of us, you do understand if they take care of you, they're taking care of you. They're taking care of everything that has to do with you. And if that means they have to take care of your children, they'll do that too. So this is a scenario situation of how do you avoid that sort of situation? And if you find yourself in a situation where you may not have the bills, you may not have money to pay your bills, do you have a place to go? Because if you don't, if you're looking at your situation right now and you know, man, I am 1 bad month away or 2 bad months away from literally being on the streets. Literally. And you're already dependent on your government, on the government. What are you going to do? This is not something I want to talk about, but it's something that's real. It's something that can happen. Because for you to think that they won't do that, for you to think that they won't look at you and say, you don't have the ability to take care of yourself, much less your children. And that's why, I understand government services are there and people need them. But it's not supposed to be a lifestyle. It's not supposed to be something you lived on. It was supposed to be a crutch. It was supposed to be something that prevented you from falling so you can stand back up and get back on your feet again and roll on with your life. Not supposed to be something you lived on for 2 and 3 and 5 and 7 years. Because as these times continue to get worse, and they feel that they have to take care of more and more of you, especially for those of you in these major metropolitan areas, these inner cities, these areas that are, because you refuse to come out of her, you refuse to live a simple, quiet life. You needed to have every family member in your business, every friend in your business. You had to to take a picture and put every single idea and thought inside your head on Facebook. Instead of being about your Father's business, instead of coming out of her, instead of putting your children in a position, finding states that are friendly for the lifestyle that you want to live. Instead, you're in this position now where you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your bills. And if you don't pay your bills, You don't provide food. You don't provide shelter. Especially you men. What could happen to your children? And especially if you have nowhere to go. You don't have water. You don't have heat. They're not going to let you put up a wood stove in your apartment in the middle of California. Or whatever major city you live in. Bless y'all. Something for you to think about. I'm not sure this is even a scenario, but it's something for you to think about and really start planning hard. Stop planning for a complete governmental failure where there's no rule of law and everyone's just running around like the freaking Lord of the Flies. And start wondering, even if it does get there, how many years do we have to go through stuff like this before we get there? Shalom.